And I want so much to thank the Connecticut Convention Committee for asking me to speak. It was a privilege. I want to tell you that I did have mixed feelings. I don't believe in talking back to back like that. I feel that Narcotics Anonymous has so many wonderful speakers, but they did ask me and called me again, and I said I would be here. You know, it was very difficult getting here a few weeks before. My old man's sponsor, Hank, was 19 years in the program, became deathly ill. And I was running down to the hospital, being with his wife and his children, and the fear that grips us, you know us, we get a cold and we think we have cancer. And we thought the first 3 days that we were going to lose him. And they still haven't found out what is wrong with him. When I left California, he had just had a spinal tap. And thank God that came out negative. And I thought that before we say of the Lord's Prayer, if all of us, and I'm sure that Steve or Father Egan could lead us in a moment of silence for Hank, and I would love it. I'm not going to go into the war stories either. I don't have that much time, and I can't go through 50 years in just a few minutes. And that's how old I was when I came into the program of Narcotics Anonymous. I used drugs for 25 years, and I never missed a day of using drugs. Last night, when Rosie was sharing about Elvis, I took exactly what he took. I was just fortunate I wasn't as wealthy. I had to work harder to get it. And you don't see many old dope fiends around. But I am eternally grateful to this loving God for giving me, well, 3 more months will be 9 years. And man, in those 9 years, every day and every moment have become precious to me. Can you hear me? I do want to start when I came into the program. I came into the program on September the 8th, 1975. I had just been in St. John's Hospital in Los Angeles where my daughter took me, thinking that she would never see me alive again. The last 5 years of my using, I had progressed to around 150 pills a day. And the last 2 weeks of my using, I went through that and much more. I'll never forget the shock, and I'm talking about the physical shock, that no matter what I put into me, I would go into shock. I was convulsing while I was using. I legally could have been put away for insanity. I had completely lost my mind. And I know you all identify. We know what it feels like to know that, my God, I can't do anything. What happens when those drugs stop working? And that's what they did to me. No matter what I put in me, it wasn't working. And if I didn't take it, I would start convulsing. And I want you to know that I was less than a vegetable, and I was pitiful. There was no hope in my life. And I remember, I will never forget, you know, when I think about it, that those first few months after I came out of the hospital, the fear of going through detoxing, of kicking, the fear of hitting that kind of the bottom was so great that fear alone kept me in the program. I didn't know how to work the steps. I didn't know what they were. You know, I went around for 6 months asking, what are the steps and how do you work them? And I remember when I came in, I said, you know, I really would like to be of service. I would like to get to be, we were just starting, and we had the tree at that time. It's okay. We had the tree at that time, and we were just starting to get into the service structure. And I told my sponsor, and I was telling all the guys, these dope beans there, I really want to be able to give something to someone else, you know. And they said, well, we're going to tell you what you do. You've got 6 months. You go to a meeting, and you sit there, and you listen, and you work the steps, because you haven't got anything to give away. And when my babies come into this program today, as much as I love service, and anyone that knows me knows how much I do, what I give them is our book that has the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, and not a service manual. Because until they have the steps and the traditions and get the principles and begin to understand the principles of this program, they have nothing to give away except the disease. I'm going to skip a lot because I want to get to the story that I want to tell. 19 months ago, my daughter Leslie passed away. She died. You know, and I remember talking to my friends many times. We would talk about if something tragic ever happened to a child. And one of my friends would say, do you know, it is too painful to even think about it. And I'm certain that every parent here knows what that feeling is. My daughter was 29 years old, and it all happened in one day. Took her to the hospital. She was complaining of pain. I took her to the hospital, and they took tests 5 hours, and they sent her home, and had an appointment the next day for the doctor. And a few hours later, she died in my arms. It was a ruptured lower intestine, something very rare. And I want to tell you, I wish, you know, I have spoken a number of times since Leslie's death, and I seem never to be able to articulate the anguish and the loss, or what took place those next few months. But I do remember that the only thing that I had at that moment was my belief in a loving God. I had some babies of mine who had heard of the news that time, and they came up to me. And they said, Sydney, do you want to use? You know, when Steve was reading that poem about love, I thought I had experienced a great deal about love in my life. And at that moment of her death and this clinging that I did to this loving God that I have come to understand, Give to this loving God that I have come to understand. Was I knew that I truly, for one moment, had begun to understand what love was. And love is nothing destructive. It is unselfish. It is giving. It is not possessing. It is not wanting to destroy. In all of my life out there, I have destroyed myself. And when she asked me this question, I said it never even entered my mind. And the next question they asked me was, do you still believe in a loving God? And all the time I'm praying. I was lying there, and what I prayed for was one moment reprieve from the pain and the anguish. I did not know how a human being could live through such pain. You know, I'd always tell my babies, you will never experience anything as terrible here in the program as you've experienced out there. And what happened was that I began to realize that you can experience. I've learned never to say never. But I did know one thing, that what would happen if I questioned the existence of this loving God, this one and only being that at that moment I had to hold on to me and that I could hold. I want to tell you about the fellowship. For many years people would say to me, how much do you give in the fellowship? Isn't this where you have to be selfish and know when to say no? I said it's very difficult for me to answer that. I said, I hope that God gives me the guidance and the wisdom to know when to say no. He said, but Sidney, you should be taking it easy. You're over the hill. And they say there's so much ungratefulness, you know how you can take the negative side to anything. Well, I've got to tell you, it was a miracle. And if that happened there, is that I was never left alone for a minute. My sponsors, my friends, were there every moment, night and day. They wouldn't let me walk into the next room. I had to fight them off to go into the shower. I got dirty after 3 days. I could not move. And I literally could feel God's presence in that room. I could feel God weeping because I was weeping. And I should have known. I wasn't thinking. All this was spontaneous. You don't think at a moment like that. And still so painful. But what it was and what was there, this presence of God, had helped carry me, had embraced me. And thank God for the times and the moments and the hours and the years that for me, what this program is about led me on a road to this God who at first I did not understand. And in this search came a faith so strong that left to my own device, I know that I would have gone out there and blown my brains out, or OD'd or whatever. And I didn't want to do that. God did help me, and I've got this to say. I found out one thing, that no matter what happens to us, no matter how painful, no matter how unjust, there is no reason for us ever having to go out and lose. A friend of mine, a few weeks later, must have been around a month later, gave me a book written by this rabbi. I couldn't even read one word, no less a book. It was about this rabbi who lost a son. This rabbi had a great deal of faith in his life. He lived with faith in his religion. And it didn't satisfy him to think that God had taken away his child. And for years I've been telling my babies, God did not do this to you. Life has a way of happening, and what this program will give you is a way how to cope and deal with life, with God's help. And his book was a reaffirmation of what I so believed in. And he was explaining it in a way that I could identify with. And he said he believed in the loving God. But there was life, and life had its own rules, own laws of nature. And the very things that make an airplane go up into the sky and fly, and something happens, and gravity works that keeps us here to live on this ground. The thing that can make us live here can also make us die. That is the law of nature, of machine, or whatever. And in knowing that, because I had asked myself, with all the faith that I had, what would happen if this loving God were taken away from me? My belief in this loving God. And I realized that I would have nothing. It took me 7 years. I had that much time left to die. To understand the first step. Finally understand, and again it's only a beginning. And that understanding is to truly know how powerless I am, not only over my drugs and addiction, but over life. And why I was so afraid of that powerlessness when I came into the program. Because being powerless meant for me to get myself out of the way and to let God in. That meant I had to give up all control. And to me that was a very frightening thing. And the second step, when they talk about the insanity, of course the first insanity that we have is to go out and use and to kill ourselves. To use the drugs and we know it's going to kill us is totally insane. To pay someone money for it so that it can kill us is even more insane. But my thinking was insane when I came into this program. It was irrational. It was addictive. You know, something happened a couple of years ago. Talk about insanity. And I'm not making fun of this person because I'm telling you about my irrational, my insanity. I was walking in a park nearby my house, and this woman on the program was there, and I saw her bending down, and she's looking in the grass. And I went up and I said hello, you know, and I'm watching her, and I said, what are you looking for? She said, I lost my keys. And I said, I'll help you get down. We'll get down on the ground and we'll look for it. And both get down on the ground and we're looking for the keys. And we can't find it. And I said, do you have any idea where exactly you dropped them? She said, yes, I do. I dropped them in my house. I said, what do you do looking for it here on the ground, in the park? And she said, there's more light out here. That was me. I could give you every rationale why I should be into my insanity. I had more excuses. I could write the book of excuses. And then I began to learn that God can restore us to sanity. It's a continuous process that never ends. But let me tell you what the insanity would have been for me with Leslie's death. You know, I hear about other parents who lose a child. I hear them committing suicide. I hear them going insane. I hear them becoming very bitter human beings. And my love for my daughter and for this loving God was so great that what it did instead was make me understand how precious this life is that we have and what a gift we are given here in Narcotics Anonymous, that we have a chance to live it again, and how easily we can throw it away. Become a bitter woman would have been everything against my daughter, my love for her and her love for me. That wasn't love. I want you to know that I didn't sleep and I didn't eat. What happened was that I did not know where this would go. And what happened? I felt like a part of me had died. And at that moment, it did die. I felt it. I had lost my parents years before, who I loved dearly. And I knew, and I would encourage others to believe, that one day their presence will settle in their hearts the way my parents have settled in my heart. They're always to be there. I didn't experience the same kind of pain with my parents as I did with my daughter. And there was this big unknown question, something I had never experienced in my life. Would I lose my mind? Moments it felt like it. I remember my sponsor saying to me, we were driving in a car a few months later, he said, Sidney, you were afraid that you were going to lose your mind. And very quickly, without even thinking, answered, and God would have helped me with that too. Because I was really beginning to understand how powerless we are. You know, for years, my willingness to turn my life and my will over to a loving God. At the beginning, it wasn't that strong. I didn't even know what they meant. What does it mean to turn your will and your life over to the care of God? First of all, I I absolutely knew that I could do a better job than God could. And at least if I couldn't do that, I could help him along. And it's amazing how unconscious addiction can make us. You know, I never could see how to turn it over to this loving God that I began to understand and took it right back again. My fourth step. When I did my fourth step, I had a very clear picture of where my character defect started from, where this insanity started. It is so important. From there, I could see where my feelings of inadequacy came from, my fears, my anxiety, my selfishness. And thank God for this program when it says to you, you know, we don't have any answers, but we have an answer, and that answer is in working the steps. And when this did happen, when you can't think, when there's nothing that you can do except just be, and allow God to enter your life and help you, everything that you have learned and everything you have earned, because you must earn being clean. You don't get recovery through osmosis. You have to practice. And practice, I tell my babies that all the time. I can be very spiritual when things are going well. I was told, you work your steps every moment of the day because your disease is with you every moment of the day. And that 6 and 7 steps, those steps I will have to work for the rest of my life. And there is a way to work them. In my 10th step, if I had lived out any of those 6 or 7 steps, my character defects, if I had hurt another human being, at the end of that day or sooner, I can do something about it. That is one of the big principles of our program, making restitution. And sometimes it's not enough to keep saying, I'm sorry. One day we have to stop doing it that way. Because I tell you something, we pay the piper. You dance to the tune and you pay the piper. Because I have seen people for 20 years go out. You know, for the newcomer here, I want you to know that there is a hope and there is a love that you will have never experienced anywhere in the world. It's like magic. There are no magic wands, but there is a magic. There's a miracle. And that miracle appears in this fellowship. I just want you to know where I am today. I was sharing with you before how my mother and father have settled somewhere in my heart and in my soul. And it's just beginning to happen with my daughter. I don't wonder what the future will bring. What I do is I wake up every morning and ask God to help me to do His will and live His will. Above that, I know nothing. It's a freedom. I carried a burden on my back for so long, worrying about the past and what if about the future. And this freedom, this gift that we have from Narcotics Anonymous is an inside job. It has nothing to do with cars and jobs and relationships. That doesn't keep you clean. This inside job that happens inside me is that I wake up each day and go to bed each night knowing that whatever will happen to me within a day, this loving God will help me get through it. If you notice, every prayer that we have in our program is an unselfish prayer. It is not a prayer for me. It is a prayer so that God would help me so that I could help another suffering addict. You know, every time I speak at a convention, not that often, but when I do, I go through a great deal of pain before I go. I get there to speak. It acutely emphasizes the moment of my beloved daughter. I want to tell you what happened back here and how remarkable this program is. Not the next day. I'm talking now in terms of months as I go along. I'm talking now about what has happened to me, not what will happen tomorrow. For the past 2 years, I have been searching within myself for a deeper understanding of this loving God. I know God's love for me. I'm shown it over and over and over again. And I'm amazed how many times I still want it proven to me that He loves me when something happens or some difficulty happens. But I want to search myself. What is my commitment to this loving God? And there's a principle to our 11th step. The time that I give in my prayers and my meditation to this God. When I was younger and I was dating, and if a man called me up and asked me to meet him at 3 o'clock in the morning, 500 miles away, man, I'd get there. And I was told 7.5 minutes in the morning and 7.5 minutes in the evening. You know I do it long enough. 15 minutes a day of meditation. And I can't tell you what that is my commitment. That is my principle. That is the time that I want to give to this loving God. That is the time that I want to take to work my steps. I didn't want to do it when I came in. I was always looking for a softer, easier way. There isn't any. It's always right in front of me. And the answer to recovery, for me, an addict, is here in Narcotics Anonymous. And what has happened, and I still can't even articulate it very well because I still feel that is being internalized, is I'm finding a greater freedom inside of me. It's something that has been opening up because all of my life I had walls around me. I had to knock one wall down at a time. First to trust my sponsor to do the 5th step, then to trust the fellowship. There's always something I'll let you come in when it's convenient for me. And what is happening now is that the walls are falling, and I'm not doing anything about it except working the steps and sharing my experience, strength, and hope with you. And I want to say, for the newcomer, it isn't easy when you come in. There's a great deal of pain, but I have never yet found anything in life worthwhile that did not have pain first. See, all my life out there, when I was using, and what kept me using, was I didn't want to deal with pain. I didn't want to have pain. And the insanity is I was constantly filled with pain. And when I came into this program of Narcotics Anonymous, I found that I could deal with it. That if I had the courage, with God's wisdom and courage and grace to go through, that I could come out on the other side and find out that is where the change and the growth is. That's how we change and grow. It just doesn't happen any other way. So for the newcomer, hold out your hand and let some of us reach out and hold yours. And let us love you until you can learn to love yourself. And I want to thank all of you. I would have liked to speak longer, but love you too, very much. I think what I do want to say, and if it is something, I just want to thank all of you for being here. You've made me feel so welcome, as you always have. God bless you. Until we meet again, I love you. Thank you.